welcome to our third podcast. This is really my favorite topic. This is related to design, and we're going to be speaking with Jagan, who is leading our design team. And for a company like us doing digital transformation around the globe, design is so critical. We always lead with design. Super excited to have this inspiring conversation with Jagan and learn from him. What is it that he did to become somebody who's leading design here? So let's get to know Jagan. Jagan, welcome.
So myself Jagannath Gupta. So I have begun my design career from G Institute of Creative Arts, GICA Studios, Mumbai.
Wow.
So I've learned various softwares such as Adobe, that was very much boom.
And when did you begin your career? This is going back.
I had started learning from GICA Studios. I've done diploma in digital arts and multimedia in 2005 to 2006.
Got it.
So it was 1 year course in Mumbai under G Institute of Creative Arts. I have learned various softwares such as Adobe Photoshop, Corel Draw, Illustrator, and various 3D animation and graphics software such as 3ds Max.
How amazing. Yeah, I love it. So why Mumbai? Are you from Mumbai originally?
So no, I'm originating from Odisha. I've done my schooling +2 and graduation from Odisha. So in my school days, I was fond of drawings, paintings and all that. So this inspired me into the creative arena because when I completed my +2 and graduation, the multimedia was the new concept driven. So the multimedia was in a huge boom. So I transformed my career. Rather than doing BTech and engineering, I focused on the creative part. So it was a great.
How amazing. That's awesome. So you were already really passionate about design and sketching and drawing and all of that stuff, and that's great. So when did you graduate from high school?
I did my schooling from 2003, then 2005 was my +2, then 2006 was my diploma in digital arts and multimedia, and 2009 was my graduation.
Understood. So after your diploma, you also then pursued further design and multimedia career. What was that degree in?
So it was diploma in digital arts and multimedia from G Institute of Creative Arts, Mumbai.
In Mumbai, you would find a lot of design studios, and of course, Bollywood is there. You really went to design capital in many ways, you could call Mumbai, to learn your skills. And then what did you do? Like 2009 when you graduated from that diploma, what was the next step for you?
So the next step was me to find a job. So I completed my internship 3 months from GICA Studios and I got paid. Thereafter I got job from Naukri.com. I appeared interviews and gave, so I was into my job.
You found your first job. What was the job in?
So it was my graphic designing intern. So that was my first job.
So that's another pattern. A lot of the employees, as you would see, even though they may be leading teams now, but they've begun as an intern. For those of who you're watching, if you're thinking, I really want to get in this field, how do I get started? Just go ahead and become an intern in that specific field so you get that unparalleled learning. I mean, a lot of times there's so much value that it's almost like if someone were to ask you to pay to learn, I mean, that's how you usually do, right? But internship is a way where you're actually getting paid and you're learning. So how long did you continue with your first internship?
So it continued for 6 months.
Okay.
Thereafter, I made a change. So I got one step ahead. I was appointed as UI designer.
Okay.
UI architect.
Okay. And what does that mean for our audience? Like UI architect. And what is UI, if you wouldn't mind explaining?
User interface design, the interface that we are viewing it.
Okay.
This is the user interface design where the colors, the font, the different elements of the web into place is totally having a control over WWW, which is World Wide Web Consortium. So this is the difference between UI and graphics mainly deals with printing stuffs such as brochures, catalog printing, banner printing and all that.
Got it. So there is UI, which is the user interface
design.
And when you learn, perhaps it was mostly on the web, and then of course with mobile coming in, there's mobile, and now designing an interface could be across any channel. It could be a device, a tablet, it could be mobile. It's obviously mobile, a lot of what we do, but also those kiosks, right? Could that also be the experience that a customer has who walks into a showroom or or a brick and mortar shop, could that be considered design?
Yeah, so design is totally versatile. So design is both in the form of art as well as science. So here comes the concept where user is the main central focal point, where we have to focus mainly the user, their pain point. We can work on them, we can study the user behavior, the demographics.
And this is extremely important. I mean, this is probably one of the most important things that I've learned in design as well. For the audience, do you want to articulate why is the user centricity so important?
So user-centric design is the important concept in design thinking, where we collect the persona of the user, we study the user behavior, their demographics, their profile, the age group, where we target them and we study the persona of the user, what is their pain points, and we study them and we design the solution based on their pain points.
Right.
So that the user can feel it, better user experience can be availed through the design thinking process.
Got it. So then the answer to why is user centricity important, why is user centric design important, is because if you understand the user, only then can you really design an experience for them that they would like and appreciate. There are two ways, as I've learned, and one is empathy and the other one is if you just talk to the user. So I mean, obviously, you could have a conversation with the user, try to understand them, but if the user is not available, then empathy is just such an important tool where you could just step in the shoes of the users. You could just really think hard and think about, okay, if I were a 32-year-old entrepreneur who wants to make $100 million, then how would I think? And if you could list down all of the fears and frustrations and what are the pain points and what is it that they stand to gain, you could really transform yourself into thinking like them. So without even having that user, you could get answers as if they were sitting next to you. Imagine that. You know this concept in and out, but when did you learn this first and how did you learn this? Who told you about empathy and user centricity?
So it gradually first, when the Web 2.0 concept just started, there was no concept of design thinking, where we were just following the templates, the color theory, the alignment, the proximity, the layout.
All these things also sound really important, and I don't think I have a lot of mastery on these, and we'd love for you to touch on these eventually, but carry on. Yes, how did you learn it?
Thereafter, the user-centered design came into focus,
okay.
Where the Don Norman, I've studied the blogs of Don Norman, where the user-centered design came into the picture. So we studied the design thinking principles. So
that's another concept then, design thinking.
Principles.
Okay, got it. For our audience, if you can tell, what is design thinking or what are design thinking principles?
Design thinking is a creative approach of solving a problem. If you have any problem, then you come to us, we think creatively, and we find a solution through design thinking. We empathize with the user, we define the problem statement, we find the creative approach to the solution by creating prototypes, layouts, sketches, typography, wireframes. So we create the whole design system and we present to the target audience or the user, so that the user find it's very easy to navigate, easy to cater the solution behind this. So design thinking is a very important concept in today's arena, where we have to follow. Otherwise, the product gets reiterated and it gets difficult for the developers to code, and the design solution is not catered well.
Got it. There's something you mentioned earlier that design is a mixture of art and science. So tell me, why is science important in design?
In physics, the color theory plays an important role, where the light and the reflection plays an important role by defining the RGB colors and the CMYK colors. CMYK colors are used for printing purposes, but RGB color is totally dependent on the light, because it is the light gets reflected on its own. So here the RGB color plays an important role according to the physics made by Newton.
Got it.
So the color theory plays an important role as well in the form of science, where we are taking it into consideration while designing.
Got it.
So here is the role of science into the design as well.
Awesome, awesome. And another thing that I've heard regarding science or evidence-based design is using the UX laws and always keeping those UX laws, in your mind when you're designing it. And what are some of the UX laws like?
So there are different laws. For example, there is a Fitts law where the proximity plays an important role, and there is the balance in the design, maintaining contrast colors for the accessibility. So accessibility plays an important role in the design as well, where the high contrast colors should be used while designing. For the blind people, for example, the blind people cannot see the design. So there are multiple options, such as we are giving them screen reader access. We are using high contrast color, dark theme mode.
If someone's blind, how would they be able to see the dark contrast?
Blind people are easily perceive dark color modes. So if they are color blind, then there are different palettes designed for the color blind people. If they are fully blind, then they should use the dark theme mode, where we are giving on the design, we are using light color mode and dark theme mode. If we use dark theme color mode, then the high contrast colors used in the dark theme. For example, if the background is black and we are using blue contrast color, green contrast.
No, but if someone's blind, they can't see anything. They can't even see the phone.
Actually, they are able to perceive the high contrast color when they are blind in nature.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. So accessibility plays an important role. So if I use those high contrast colors in my design, so blind people can perceive them. So there is W3CAG guidelines, where there is web content accessibility guideline for blind people.
Got it.
And there is WCAG testing as well for the developers to take care. While doing code, area labeled by should be defined for the blind people to read, and on the images particularly we define alt text title in the code. So if the image is not loaded, they can generally read the title and tags from them.
Understood. Okay, great. So looks like accessibility plays an important role, but sort of going back to our original thought process. So you got your first internship, and then you did that for 6 months, and then you got another job. Where was that job?
So the job was located the first job was in Gurgaon, Palam Bihar.
Okay, so right here in Gurgaon.
Yeah. Okay. So it was a very small company. There were two to three designers. So I was given task of print media, basically designing catalog design, banner design, pamphlet design.
Okay.
So this is how I started my design career. So I learned the software of CorelDRAW, which was very much famous in previous earlier days.
Not anymore though, right? Nobody uses
CorelDRAW. They are used by printing press, but not much in digital.
Right.
Where Adobe Illustrator is on high demand.
Absolutely. So yeah, that'll be an important question maybe from the audience. If they aspire to be a designer, then what is that one most important tool that you would recommend?
So in today's world, we are using Figma.
So that is the number one tool?
Number one tool, and for the creative graphics, we are using Adobe Illustrator.
So then you had your first job. How long were you at your first job?
So I was in 6 months. Thereafter in 2010, I was hired by TechMinds India Private Limited as a UI designer or architect, I was saying.
Yes.
So thereafter my career transformed over there. I jumped into senior UI designer. Thereafter I got team lead over there. Thereafter I got their assistant manager for UI.
Nice. How long were you there?
So I was there for the span of 10 years.
10 years at one company. Wow. I think that's something to learn as well. I mean, for the new people, would you recommend that stick around at the same place? Because there are two competing thoughts, right? One is that you want to get a lot of different types of experiences. And of course, you don't want to be hopping so quickly that 6 months, 1 year, you're changing jobs. But I think there is that right amount of time, maybe 3 to 7 years, when you have really consumed and you get in that comfortable state at a company, and then unless you're growing or changing your role or doing some sort of rotation, you should look for opportunities outside. I mean, is that something that you agree with? Obviously not.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree with that, because if you stick to a particular company, you learn a lot of stuffs. So if you stick in a particular company, you begin with your early stage. Thereafter, you get gradually over the ladder. You climb one ladder step ahead. So this is how the career progress. So you begin with the internship stage. Thereafter, getting more responsibilities covered, and you are getting challenge in the job and challenge in the work or task. So you learn yourself, you learn with the team, peers. So this is how we evolve. So I think sticking to a company will increase the growth of the employee rather than changing jobs frequently.
So you were there for 10 years, that's great. And then what made you want to break away and go look for another job?
It was a long span of year I devoted into that company, and I have learned a lot in my last company. So it was somehow, I think it was a comfort zone. So I want to break that, and I took challenges. I had to appear interview, where do I stand in the market.
Where do you get your inspiration for these designs?
Basically, I visit my awards.com. So awards.com is my favorite website.
Okay.
There I get a lot of inspirations. I also watch different blogs such as smashingmagazine.com, Dribble, where I find a lot of new designers coming and devoting their work and creative stuffs. So I watch Dribble, and I also follow different bloggers like Google, YouTube, Facebook. So there are different team of design leaders hovering around. So I used to get inspired by them as well.
Wonderful. So you kind of always are understanding and looking for what are the new trends
and technologies are hovering around, and what are the key elements, new elements to design. For example, using the linear gradient and using the muted colors. So there are now different design systems emerging throughout the web.
What is a design system?
So design system consists of various elements, such as you can say, starting from the iconography, typography. There are color palettes defined, such as primary color, secondary color, tertiary color, the gray, what we can say as accent or gray colors. So these design system we follow while designing. We create the reusable components in the design, like we used to define them for the development as well. So we can also create components that we can reuse in the design. So design system helps a lot while creating components. So we can reuse them, we can follow the consistency throughout the design. So once I create a design system, for example, a component of button, so once that is created, I reuse them into various pages in my design. So design system plays an important role in handling all the elements functionally, we can say.
And it gives the user also that familiarity. And consistency.
It plays an important role.
Got it. Okay, understood. Well, great. Do you want to give us an example of something that you have learned that just totally inspired you, or a concept that you saw, you're like, oh my God, this is something really new that I learned and I want to share it with the rest of the world?
Basically, material design system is evolving nowadays.
Okay, so tell us, for the audience, what is material design?
So material design is introduced by Android, Google. So it is very popular nowadays, which is used in different mediums such as web, mobile, because the code base remains same, the design system remains same, and they have introduced the what we can say, the muted colors, so we can use while designing. So the whole design system used by Android, Google. In Gmail we can see the muted design system by Material Design. So it is evolving nowadays. So there are other different design systems as well, such as Carbon design system used by IBM.
Okay.
And there are human interface guidelines, which is followed by Apple.
Okay.
So these are the popular design systems, and there are design systems created by Zira, Atlassian. Mm-hmm. They have also their own design system. So there are number of design systems created by the giant leaders in the company, but the most popular ones used are the Apple Human Interface Guidelines and the Material Design.
Understood. So those are the ones that you should choose from. And are these design systems for also designing experiences, or are these mostly for designing interfaces?
So these are mainly used for designing the interfaces, but experience is defined by by applying the design thinking methodology, because human psychology plays an important role. So if I use a component, how easy will that be for the end user to use that? So that is the important factor. So how the application should be easy to navigate, easy to use. So there are many principles in design thinking as well, which will cater all those problem statements defined by the end user, so that we can put them together in place, where usability testing is an important factor over here. Because when we test the prototype using usability testing, so there are many factors involved in the usability testing, where these all what we can say the bugs and errors caused by the human, how the application is easy to use or it is very complex to use. So all those factors are tested in this usability testing phase of the design.
Yes.
So usability testing plays an important role in the design thinking process as well.
Got it. So really, whatever you're designing, you're getting some sort of feedback from the users by observing them as they are using whatever prototype that you may have designed. And that can help you get that feedback and see how long it takes somebody to accomplish a certain task. And for that, we have in the past in our US office used one-way mirrors, and
absolutely.
Also
A by B testing.
A/B testing, absolutely.
Heuristic evaluation of the detailed product.
What is heuristic evaluation of a detailed product?
There are multiple points which are useful or which are taken care under heuristic evaluation. For example, we can say that the consistency plays an important role, as I have already spoken, and the color theory. So for example, the usage of primary color, secondary color, tertiary color. So if there are two buttons placed and one is primary, the other should be secondary, not primary. So these are very easy to use. For what we can say is it becomes easy for the users to understand or grasp on the layout part.
Got it. So it makes it easy, but see, these are so many concepts in this talk that you have mentioned. Tell me, how could somebody just go through each one of these and understand all these different concepts? How did you learn all of these different concepts?
So there are different blogs I have studied, or what I have said earlier, that's smashingmagazine.com. There are different blogs.
So basically there's lots of information just
in the web.
On the web, and you could just go and read about it, and you could watch videos, you could have different people that you admire, that you could follow, and that's how you continue to learn. So tell me, what motivates you to keep going, and why do anything? Why get out of bed? And what are the driving factors behind coming every day to office and sitting with the team and doing something new?
So basically, the driving factor, what I can say is that I have a great team over here. There are 10 designers that I'm leading here. So I get inspired by each of them. So each of them having a variety of talent. So what we can say that working closely with the team member rather than remote working. So it gives a close coordination between the team members, and we support each other in each and every task. I motivate them generally. So the motivation factor plays an important role while designing, because we are creative people, and so there should be a mentor who should motivate all the designers to come up with good ideas and creative ideas, so that we can place on the table.
Got it. If somebody is aspiring to be a designer, what advice would you offer to them?
So I will advise them to watch more, what we can say, to read blogs, to watch videos if they are creative, and to do something new to come up with new ideas. So the ideas come when we can see, watch something new. So these are
So
all.
stay curious, just continue to learn.
Be creative and start doing something good, and this is how we can emerge as a good designer.
Fantastic. I am sure that there are many people who learned so much from what you had to say, and so many people got inspired. And for me, I think, even if there was just one person in the audience who really from this conversation now feels motivated, I think this was totally worth it. I mean, spending 30 minutes and having this chat and then editing the video and putting it up for the community, I think if it helps just one person, totally worth it.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all these amazing insights, and thank you everybody for watching. We're going to continue to bring more and more content like this and inspiring stories from our amazing employees that we have, and really looking forward to bringing more content to you. So until next time, goodbye.
Thank you.